NewsNation shows you what really happened. Plus, the war's economic impact being felt across the globe. Here at home, record high gas prices have the country rethinking how we get from point A to point B. The Americans thinking outside the box and outside the country to combat skyrocketing prices at the pump. I'm Nicole Burley. It is Thursday, March 10th. This is NewsNation Rush Hour. We begin with the very latest in the war in Ukraine. The United Nations now reporting at least 549 civilians have been killed in this conflict, but it's likely the real death toll is much higher. And that new death toll announced as another round of talks between Russia and Ukraine fell through today with absolutely no deal in place. Not only did the two sides fail to agree on a ceasefire, but they were also unable to broker a deal to safely evacuate civilians out of the city of Mariupol. Now, that is the same city where Ukraine claims Russia bombed a maternity hospital, killing 3 people, but Russia rejecting responsibility. But earlier today, another hospital allegedly targeted, this time in the city of Kharkiv. Russia says those explosions are being staged by Ukrainian forces. Now, all of this unfolding as Russian forces inch closer and closer to the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv. This map shows all the areas around the capital that have been captured by Russian forces. The red dots next to Kyiv are where battles are being fought right now. NewsNation correspondent Robert Sherman joins us live from Ukraine. So, Robert, how close are Russian forces to taking that city?
Well, Nicole, what we've heard from the British today is that the Russian forces that are just northwest of the city are moving slow, not making much progress, and are actually taking on some pretty heavy losses. We want to show you this video, which appears to show Ukrainian forces taking out several Russian tanks. We want to emphasize that this video comes from the Ukrainian government, so we cannot independently verify it. The Ukrainians are claiming that in this video they were able to force Russian forces to retreat and actually killed a Russian colonel. On the front of evacuations, President Volodymyr Zelensky saying today that they were able to get 60,000 of their citizens out of some of the major cities. And you see this video where you have elderly people who are being carried out by their wheelchairs and things of that nature. It is truly a collective effort. Those evacuations are continuing again today in the cities of Kyiv and Mariupol. On the subject of Mariupol, the whole world has been holding its breath since yesterday. We all saw those videos of the maternity hospital in Mariupol being bombed. We now know that 3 people were killed. That includes 1 child. 17 people were injured. If you can believe it, the Russians are denying this attack. The latest that we've heard from them is from Russia's foreign minister. They said, quote, that these are nothing more than pathetic shrieks, claiming that the public worldwide is being manipulated and misled by the videos that you just saw. We're going to let those videos speak for themselves. We want to warn you that the next images that we're about to show you are disturbing. So these are mass graves in Mariupol, and the mayor's office says that they think more than 1,000 civilians in their city alone have been killed. They're running out of space, time, water, heat. They said that they had to bury almost 50 people in those trenches. We know that some people are melting snow just in order to make water, drinking water, so that they could continue to survive. Despite all of this, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky insists that he believes that Russian President Vladimir Putin, will be coming to the table soon, saying, quote, he sees that we are strong. Nicole?
Yeah, such disturbing images there. Robert, thank you. We will check back in with you. Vice President Kamala Harris calling on Russia to be investigated for war crimes, and those comments coming during her visit to Poland. Now, at the same time, former Vice President Mike Pence also making a surprise overseas appearance. NewsNation correspondent Kelly Meyer joins us live from Washington. So, Kelly, the Vice President's visit comes at a pretty unique time. Why now?
Well, Nicole, the vice president is playing cleanup here. It comes just 2 days after the U.S. rejected Poland's plan or proposal to send fighter jets to Ukraine. And she's trying to show this unified front here with this NATO ally to show they're unified against Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Polish plan, though, was to send the MiG-29 aircraft fighter jets to the U.S. base in Germany first and then on to Ukraine. This was a non-starter for the Biden administration. They said this would fuel the flames of war with this transfer. Today, Harris, when asked about the proposal, said the U.S. and Poland are united, full stop. Harris is walking the diplomatic tightrope here with top Polish officials, working to reassure Poland of U.S. support by announcing the delivery of 2 new Patriot missile systems to the country. Those are defensive missile systems that would protect Poland should Russia change course. Harris calling Putin's ruthless assault, especially in the last 24 hours when he bombed the children's hospital, atrocities of unimaginable proportion, and calling for an international war crimes investigation. Take a listen.
Absolutely, there should be an investigation, and we should all be watching. And I have no question the eyes of the world are on this war and what Russia has done in terms of this aggression and these atrocities.
Harris not the only vice president in Poland today. Former Vice President Mike Pence tweeted these photos at the Ukraine-Poland border, visiting Ukrainian women and children, now refugees of war. Today, Harris pledging $53 million in new humanitarian assistance and promising the U.S. will help countries like Poland, who are seeing this massive number of refugees fleeing the war. Nicole?
All right, so Kelly, there was also a moment on the VP's trip. It's definitely going viral. A reporter asked her about the fleeing refugees, and she appears to laugh.
Okay. A friend in need is a friend indeed.
Okay, I can first.
All right, so Kelly, do we know what happened here?
Well, it was an awkward moment there. It basically was a reporter asking a question of both Harris and the Polish president at the same time. And at the end of that question, they looked at one another. Harris said, okay. The Polish president started to laugh. And then she went into the friend comment, and they both started laughing. It was just a cringeworthy, embarrassing moment there. But immediately after, they went back to answering the question.
All right.
Nicole?
That makes sense. Kelly Meyer live for us in D.C. Thank you. We do have some breaking news to report. The government has learned North Korea is developing a new intercontinental ballistic missile system and has already started testing it. Now, this coming one day after our exclusive NewsNation poll shows more than 80% of Americans are worried about a nuclear attack. So we want to bring in NewsNation On Balance host Leland Vitter. So, Leland, we've seen these missile tests before from North Korea. So what makes these different?
The tests themselves are short range. It appears as though the North Koreans have gotten themselves some new technology, and they're testing various parts of a new ICBM. So back in 2017, they launched their full-range ballistic missile that put American bases in range. Now they're testing a new missile that conceivably will be able to go farther or be more accurate. The one key issue for the North Koreans is how to miniaturize nuclear warheads to put them on top of these missiles. They've also had issues with missile reliability. And lastly, how they fuel these missiles. You can see one idea is for them to be on a train. That would make it so that you could pull the train out of a cave, essentially, a tunnel, pop it up and launch it. That makes it a lot harder to find on satellites. All of this requires various parts of technology, and that's clearly what they've been working on and what these past 2 short-range launches were.
So, Leland, speaking of that, I mean, we've seen many tests, many of these missile tests from North Korea in the past, maybe different systems, but certainly tests before. But obviously, all eyes right now on the world are on Ukraine and this conflict between Russia and Ukraine. So what about the timing of North Korea's tests compared to that?
You can look at it 2 ways. One, Kim Jong-un might feel like he can get away with more right now because, as you rightly point out, the eyes of the world are on Ukraine and Vladimir Putin and what's happening with a real war. So Kim Jong-un could be taking advantage of the timing and just creating a little mischief while the world isn't looking. The other way to look at it is that so far the Biden administration really hasn't done much as it relates to North Korea. They haven't really tightened the thumb screws beyond what President Trump did, and Kim Jong-un hasn't gotten any cookies or carrots from the Biden administration in a significant way. So he fires off a few missiles. He knows he's going to get the world's attention, and then he might get something in return for not launching any more missile tests. So you can look at it both ways. Probably Kim Jong-un is one of the few leaders of the world that the United States has less visibility into his decision-making and his inner circle than Vladimir Putin.
And as you said, we are now talking about Kim Jong-un. All right, Leland Vitter, thank you. We'll be watching, of course, On Balance tonight at 7/6 Central. Well, with gas prices continuing to climb, we asked you, our NewsNation viewers, if the prices had an impact on the financial decisions you've made in the past week. And as you can see, almost 60% of respondents in our new exclusive poll say yes, at least to some extent. So let's bring in correspondent Marky Martin, who is live in Dallas for us. So Marky, these sky-high gas prices reportedly have people in border communities crossing into Mexico.
Yeah, right now for a lot of people that makes sense. But Nicole, it will be interesting to see how those poll numbers change if these gas prices keep getting higher. I mean, we're at national records. Yeah, you know, a couple days ago we broke the national record that just this morning in Texas. We're at an all-time high here. That's forcing some people who live along those border communities to think not only outside the box when it comes time to filling up their tank, but outside the country.
The average today by AAA in El Paso is $4.19 a gallon, and that climbed 61 cents in just the last week. We've never seen a week-to-week increase like that.
And that rapid rise has some drivers from El Paso headed south of the border to fill up their tank.
It's better to fill up here than wasting more money over there, you know?
It's better to buy the gas in Juarez because the price is less.
Mexico sells fuel by the liter, but for comparison's sake, right now a liter costs more than 16 pesos, which is about $3 a gallon. About $1.15 less expensive. Mexican gas stations say they've seen long lines of American cars.
We've had a few days where everything was noticeable. The people come really early, and they are here at 6 in the morning. The first cars that come in are Americans. They have to wait for a while, and the first thing they ask is how much is the gas? And then they make the comment that it is so much more expensive over there.
This trend along the border, while small right now, could grow as prices in Mexico are expected to remain relatively flat while continuing to spike here in the U.S.
It climbed 59 cents in the last week. It's $1.51 higher than it was a year ago, and we anticipate it will continue to go higher.
And Nicole, part of the reason that Mexican gas is so much cheaper, their government has eliminated the federal gas tax. Also, their president has pledged to subsidize the price of gas and diesel just to keep things steady, to keep things stabilized here. Here in the States, there's a growing number of leaders calling for a gas tax holiday that they hope would last throughout the end of the year. Right now in America, our gas tax is about 18 cents a gallon. Nicole.
Yeah, and Marky, these prices are really squeezing a lot of American families. All right, Marky, thank you. We do want to focus on some more breaking news right now. Major League Baseball's lockout is over. Today, the Players Union and the league agreeing to a new labor contract. NewsNation's Alex Capriello joining us live from Los Angeles with more on these breaking developments. So, Alex, do we finally know when the season will officially start?
Yeah, it sounds like Major League Baseball will be making its entrance beginning in early, maybe mid-April. But get this, spring training already beginning this Sunday. This marks the end to a 99-day lockout. That's the second longest in league history. Now, what does this mean for the fans? It means that they'll get to watch their favorite team all season long. That's right, the MLB should be able to squeeze in the full 162-game season. Now, a lot of progress was made over the last week, despite coming to a reported stalemate yesterday. But the final deal materialized this morning and was sent to the Players Union, which approved it unanimously. It comes with concessions from both sides. Player salaries will increase, particularly for young players who have been in the league for less than 3 years. And there's now going to be a designated hitter in the National League. You'll also begin to see ads appearing on player jerseys. That's similar to what the NBA began just a few years ago. Now, this labor contract, Nicole, is going to last for the next 5 years. So that means that we only have 5 years until we get to see this all hash out once again between those Major League Baseball clubs and those players.
All right, well, we're just going to focus on right now. All right, Alex, thank you.
That's right.
The federal mask mandate for airlines and other public transit options is now extended until at least April 18th. So in the meantime, that means the CDC will work on guidance on how to eventually ease that restriction. And it comes as some unvaccinated airline employees will be rejoining their crews. NewsNation's Evan Lambert is following this story for us. So, Evan, when can we expect to see this mandate go away, or will we?
Nicole, we know that we'll be masking up for another month, but federal authorities do say it's likely that the mask mandate will go away sometime soon. based on CDC recommendations. And we're talking about in airports, on planes, trains, and buses as well. It was supposed to go away on March 18th, and it has been extended that additional month until April 18th. This mandate, it will continue to be enforced by the TSA. After that, the CDC says it is working on what things will look like past mid-April, saying in a statement, quote, CDC will work with government agencies to help inform a revised policy framework for when and under what circumstances masks should be required in the public transportation corridor. This revised framework will be based on the new COVID-19 community levels, risk of new variants, national data, and the latest science. We spoke to people here at Reagan National Airport today about this extension. Here's what they told us.
It's about time to move on to the next step, and like most businesses are bringing people back and allowing employees to go without masks.
I think that they should drop it now and give people the option. If they want to wear their mask, they can wear their mask. If not, they can not.
And the White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki was asked about this today, especially considering under new CDC guidelines, most Americans are not recommended at this point to wear masks indoors. Psaki said that based on travel and the movement, people going back and forth between other places with different COVID risks, that travel is just different. Nicole?
All right, so Evan, a major airline is also allowing some of its unvaccinated employees to come back to the job?
Yeah, Nicole, United Airlines confirming to NewsNation that 2,200 employees who had sought and received religious or medical exemptions to the vaccine, they'll be allowed to come back to work beginning on March 28th. They did fire about 200 employees. Those employees just flat out refusing to get vaccinated and not seeking that exemption. They still say, though, that 97% of their employees are vaccinated. Nicole?
All right, Evan Lambert, live for us. Thank you. Well, stocks slipping today as markets remain uncertain about where inflation is heading. Just a day after the biggest gains since June of 2020, all three indices ending the day in red. The Dow falling triple digits with the NASDAQ dropping nearly 1%. NewsNation's Marley Caden breaks down the numbers and what they mean to all Americans.
U.S. inflation is growing at its fastest rate since 1982 as the war in Ukraine rages on. The Consumer Price Index, which measures a wide-ranging basket of goods and services, increased at a higher-than-expected 7.9% during the past 12 months. For February, food prices rose 1%, and food at home jumped 1.4%. Both of those are the fastest monthly gains since April 2020. Energy was also a big contributor to the swelling prices, up 3.5% for February and accounting for about 1/3 of the yearly gain. Shelter costs, or housing, jumped 4.7% for the year. This is the fastest annual increase since May of 1991. Vehicle costs have been driving inflation throughout the pandemic, but showed potential signs of easing in February. Used car and truck prices declined for the first time since September, but are still up 41.2% over the past year. New car prices were just slightly elevated and are up 12.4% for the year. The Federal Reserve is expected to announce the first of a series of interest rate hikes aimed at slowing inflation next week. It will be the first time the central bank has raised rates in more than 3 years.
For the first time ever, both victims and their families impacted by the opioid crisis able to confront the owners of OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma. After the break, the powerful, emotional testimony directed at the Sackler family.
statement that they've acted lawfully and regret that OxyContin, a prescription medication that continues to help people suffering from chronic pain, unexpectedly became part of an opioid crisis that has brought grief and loss to far too many families. Like Scotty Madison's, the ex-MLB player's book, The Other Side of the Earth, recounts the death of his son, Trent, telling the hearing about the day Trent said, "Dad, I can't stop taking Oxy. I'm afraid I'm going to die." And he did.
Now, there is a settlement agreement expected to be worth an estimated $10 billion. The Sacklers expected to be on the hook for between $5.5 and $6 billion of that over 17 years. The money, Nicole, earmarked for opioid addiction and treatment.
Yes, so many American families impacted. Tom, thank you. Still ahead on Rush Hour, constant bombings forcing the children at an eastern Ukrainian orphanage to flee their building. We'll exclusively take you inside the western Ukraine orphanage that took them in.
Yeah, mic check, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Welcome back to NewsNation Rush Hour. I'm Nicole Burley. And these are the faces of Ukrainian orphans evacuated from the eastern part of the country to the west. But don't let those smiling faces fool you. The volunteers at the Western Ukraine orphanage say what we don't see is the tears and the heartbreak for these children with very uncertain futures. NewsNation correspondent Robert Sherman was there today. And Robert, do the kids even understand what's happening?
That's the thing, Nicole. The orphanage workers that we speak with say no, the kids do not. But they can evidently see the children are frightened, the children are terrified, and those staffers are working tirelessly to get them further to safety.
Look at his eyes. It's just diamonds.
It's little girls like Nastya that got Julia to start volunteering at this orphanage in Lviv.
They need love. They need just people who will be with them together. That's all.
These children have been through it all. Evacuated from regions of Ukraine torn apart by war. Kyiv, Kharkiv, and Lysychansk, just to name a few. Svetlana is the deputy director of the orphanage and says the smiles and the giggles are only what you can see on the surface.
It's scary. When they arrive, you look at these children and they're scared. They're shaking, screaming, and hysterical and don't understand what's happening here.
This orphanage has brought in over 20 children since the bombs first started falling last month. And while the children aren't in immediate danger here in Lviv, staffers here are trying to get them to safety. The issue is bigger than this one facility. There are thousands of children in Ukraine dealing with the exact same situation.
There are those here who already have their own traumas, and this new situation is amplifying it.
For the time being, volunteers like Julia are doing their best.
I really like that little eyes and that smile.
But according to Svetlana, what they really need is bigger than any donation.
We have everything we need here. We only need peace. We need to have confidence in the future. We need your support to understand that we are not alone in this world.
And staffers at that orphanage we met with today say that they have recently been able to get 10 children out of the country, which they say is a start, but they need to get every child to safety. Nicole?
Absolutely. Excellent reporting there, Robert. Thank you. Well, meantime, the sky-high oil and gas prices may convince some drivers to swap their car keys for public transit. But the higher fuel prices also make it more expensive to operate that transit. And correspondent Brian Enton is live for us in Florida. So, Brian, how is this mass transit ridership with the rising cost of commuting via car?
Well, Nicole, we're in Miami, which is one of those places kind of like a Dallas or Atlanta or LA, where most people sort of just prefer to drive. Public transportation isn't quite so popular here, but we are now learning that that is starting to change because of the gas prices. One of the ways to see the result of high gas prices is to take a ride on public transit. In South Florida, Tri-Rail trains between West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, and Miami are the busiest they've been in 2 years. Have you noticed that the trains are busier?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Cheyenne Pearson is a law student and says driving the hour to class is no longer an option.
Preferably, I would love to drive. But, you know, if I have to choose between filling up my gas tank for almost $90, when, you know, that could go to other expenses that I have, especially as a student, like, you know, being in school, like, you never know what comes up.
Public transit is busier in other places, too. In Connecticut, rail service is now about 3/4 of what it was pre-pandemic. Experts say some of the increase is because of people going back to work, but they suspect gas prices are the main factor.
We had plateaued at a certain level of ridership, and then right when you saw the gas prices go above $4, and sometimes it just takes an artificial number like $4, we saw a quick increase in ridership.
Many trains and buses use gas too, but public transportation prices have not been impacted at this point because most public transit services have locked in contracts that will alleviate price increases for now. That's good news for riders hoping to avoid the pain at the pump.
I will wait if the train is running late or if it's raining because I would rather sit on the train and not have to fill up my gas tank.
So it's hard to nail down exactly whether this increase in ridership across the country is because people are going back to work or because of the high gas prices. But all of the experts we talked to today said once gas prices hit $4 a gallon, that is really when they started to see the uptick. Nicole?
Oh, yeah, just like that student said. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that would rather just sit on the train if they can. All right, Brian, thank you. Yeah. Let's take a look at our NewsNation Decision Desk HQ poll. 41% of respondents are in favor of the U.S. sending weapons to Ukraine, while 6% are against it, as the White House passed a $13 billion funding bill to aid that battered country. Anna Warnicki is in Washington with more.
Congress is racing against the clock to avoid a government shutdown on Friday. The bill is passed. In a late-night vote Wednesday, the House passed a $1.5 trillion spending package, which includes $3.6 billion to help Ukraine.
The people of Ukraine cry out in pain. Russia is now brought to its knees. Let's make sure that Vladimir Putin never stands on the world stage again.
Democrats and Republicans joined together to support the bill, focusing on the much-needed aid for Ukraine.
This is not the bill that I would have written. This is certainly not the bill that the majority would have written.
The text of the massive spending package was not released until hours before the House voted, frustrating many lawmakers. But at the end of the day, Republican Congressman Ken Calvert says delaying the bill any longer will only hurt Ukraine.
As the world watches, we must send the message that this Congress stands ready to strengthen its military, to stand by its allies.
Anna Warnicki, NewsNation, Washington.
Thank you, Anna. Well, Empire actor Jussie Smollett will be sentenced at any moment now after he was convicted of staging a racist attack on himself. After the break, we are live from the courthouse with Smollett's last plea to the judge. And don't forget, you can follow me on social media. Just search Nicole Burley on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. learn his punishment from a Chicago judge. The former Empire actor convicted late last year of staging a racist, homophobic attack on himself and then lying about it to Chicago police. NewsNation correspondent Kelly Beeson is live for us at the courthouse. And Kelly, the judge heard today from several character witnesses, including family and coworkers supporting Smollett. What did they say?
Well, they said, Nicole, on the stand that Jussie Smollett is a talented person, that he's a charitable person, and that he is pure-hearted as well. There were letters of support from activist groups, including celebrity Samuel L. Jackson. But the prosecution really focused on the time and the money that was spent on this investigation that they say was all a hoax.
Appreciate you.
After Jussie Smollett making his way to the courtroom this afternoon to learn the terms of his sentence after being found guilty on 5 counts of disorderly conduct last year.
Mr. Smollett would not have lost this case as he did today unless the jury found that he lied to them.
During the trial, the Empire actor taking the stand in his own defense, maintaining he was the victim of a racist and homophobic attack in Chicago in 2019. Smollett told police he was targeted by men who yelled slurs at him, punched him, and put a rope around his neck. All similar to statements he made weeks after the alleged attack when the actor spoke out publicly on Good Morning America.
Have you seen that image, and do you believe that they could possibly be the attackers?
I do.
What is it about their size, or why do you feel that they could possibly be?
Because I was there. For me, when that was released, I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere.
Police say they did review hundreds of hours of video surveillance, but no camera captured the incident. Just hours after the guilty verdict was read, former superintendent of the Chicago Police, Eddie Johnson, joined Adrian Bankert live on NewsNation's Morning in America, discussing one key piece of evidence that tipped authorities off to potential foul play.
He went to a Subway sandwich shop at like 2 in the morning to get a sandwich. Okay, that's fine. He comes back, gets attacked in a hate crime, supposed hate crime. And during all this scuffle, they poured bleach on him and all of this. When he got up and went into his apartment building, he still had that Subway sandwich with him. That doesn't happen. When people get attacked like that, whatever belongings they have out there, they usually leave it until the police can go back with them because they're afraid. This guy had the sandwich in his hand and never been touched.
Now, Smollett has maintained his innocence throughout this case. His lawyers say or have said that they plan to appeal. And in terms of jail time, while it is a possibility, Nicole, experts we spoke with say it is highly unlikely in this case.
All right, Kelly, we know you are keeping an eye on it out there at the courthouse. Thank you. Let's still ahead on Rush Hour, mistaken for a bank robber. It happened to Black Panther director Ryan Coogler. We'll show you the newly released body camera footage of the encounter and his arrest. And a state trooper being hailed as a hero after she put herself in harm's way to stop a drunk driver. We're going to hear from that trooper for the first time since the crash.
we'll work on that. Thank you. 773.
Well, this is the acclaimed director of movies like Black Panther and Creed, and he's speaking out after police in Atlanta mistook him for a bank robber. And new today, we have some fresh details on the body cam video that's circulating, which gives us a better picture of exactly what happened.
Hey, sir. Hey, man. Do me a favor, man. Come this way. Put your hand behind your back.
Body cam video captures the moment Atlanta police, with at least one gun drawn, approach the blockbuster movie director Ryan Coogler on January 7th.
What's going on, my man? Trying to pull money on my arm. You said what?
The filmmaker mistaken for a bank robber while trying to withdraw money from his own account at a branch of Bank of America.
Did the officers explain what's going on while we're out here?
Not really, man.
All right, so we got a call basically.
I heard somebody ask me if I passed the note.
Coogler handed the bank teller a withdrawal slip with a note written on the back that reportedly read, "I would like to withdraw $12,000 cash from my checking account. Please do the money count somewhere else. I'd like to be discreet." The bank teller took that request as a robbery and called police.
So basically, we got a call, and from what we got the call, it seemed like someone was trying to rob the bank.
Atlanta police put the handcuffed filmmaker into the back of a cruiser, where he remained during a brief investigation in which police determined Coogler was innocent. Coogler, who was in Atlanta shooting the sequel to Black Panther, was visibly shaken, but had a few unscripted words for the arresting officers.
Y'all explaining y'all perspective, right? Yeah. Y'all the ones with guns and vests. You understand what I'm saying? What's my perspective? What's my perspective?
I know you
at the bank, she never said it was a bro. Yeah. I said, hey, is that gonna be okay with you? She said, yeah. I put my own card in, put my own pin in. She asked to see my ID. I gave it to her. Yeah. And she goes in the back, and I'm waiting for the and then the people keep coming out. Hey, they taking care of you. They taking care of you. Everything's just taking a little while. Next thing I hear. Yeah. I hear Glocks getting pulled out. That's what I hear. I hear Glocks getting pulled out from unholstering. Hey, sir, can I talk to you for a minute? You understand what I'm saying? So you see my perspective.
All right, so we do want to mention that Bank of America issued an apology, and Ryan Coogler himself today saying the situation has been addressed and he has moved on. Well, meantime, incredible dashcam video showing the moment a Florida state trooper put her life on the line to protect the people she serves. And now she is describing this terrifying incident for the first time publicly. Chip Oskowski from our Tampa station explains the trooper's split-second decision that likely saved a group of runners.
Nicole, thousands of runners were out here for the Sunshine Skyway 10K over the weekend. Trooper Tony Shuck knew if she didn't stop that speeding car, the outcome could have been horrific.
I saw her veer to the left, so I thought if she saw me veer to the left again, she's going to stop. She then came to her left, which was my right, and in the video you see I swerved slightly to the right, because again, in my mind, she's going to stop.
The driver never did. Instead, crashing nearly head-on into Trooper Tony Shuck's cruiser.
It's hard because I've done this for 26 years and I've never been in this position. I've never been in this position where I've had to put myself for somebody else.
Troopers arrested that driver, 52-year-old Kristen K. Watts, charging her with DUI with serious bodily injury, 2 counts of DUI with property damage, and 2 counts of reckless driving involving injury. This is video from her first court appearance. Sergeant Steve Gaskins was on scene that morning and described her demeanor.
She was very vocal, belligerent. She was, my understanding, in the ambulance ride to the hospital, she was belligerent. And then the way to the jail as well.
The moments leading up to the crash have replayed in her head time and time again.
Every day since it's happened, I've thought about it. You know, you go through the what ifs, but I was the last officer. I knew that. I knew it was me. So if it wasn't me to get her to stop, then who?
That accused drunk driver remains behind bars. Her bond is set at more than $50,000. Nicole?
Great work by that trooper. It's still ahead on News Nation Rush Hour. 2 of the men convicted of killing Ahmaud Arbery asking to be acquitted. The loophole they're trying to use to have their sentences overturned. In our next hour, confronting Putin on the Dahlin Report, why the White House will not draw the new red line. Then after the Dahlin Report, Leland Vitter looks at expensive expenses, why Russia's war could make inflation in America even worse than it is right now. And we want to say thank you. You have made News Nation the fastest growing cable news network, and you are making Rush Hour the #1 news program on News Nation. We thank you for that. More news is next. convicted of murdering Ahmaud Arbery are attempting to have their federal hate crime convictions thrown out. The pair filed requests for acquittal, with Gregory and Travis McMichael's lawyers arguing the shooting did not happen on a public street and say prosecutors did not prove Gregory McMichael displayed any racist attitudes. Those federal convictions were handed down last month after a jury determined race did play a factor in Arbery's killing. In addition to the hate crime convictions, the McMichaels and William Bryan were all found guilty in Arbery's 2020 shooting death. A new smartphone app is being used to compel immigrants released from U.S. detention to attend their deportation hearings. The SmartLink app is used to check in with those migrants. Agents can require them to send a selfie or receive a phone call. ICE says it is effective, but migrant advocates say they're concerned because they don't know how the government might use that personal data. The last coach charged in the Varsity Blues college admissions cheating scandal is now on trial. University of Southern California water polo coach Jovan Babic is accused of taking bribes in exchange for tagging applicants as recruited athletes. So far, there have been 50 guilty pleas over nearly 3 years, with punishments ranging from probation to prison time. 2 U.S. representatives are working toward Brittany Griner's release from Russia. Texas Reps Colin Allred and Sheila Jackson Lee are in touch with the State Department. The WNBA star was detained last month in Russia on alleged drug charges. And Johnny Greer, the first black referee of an NFL game, has died. Greer got his start as a field judge and was a member of the crew that officiated Super Bowl 22 back in 1988. The following season, he was promoted to referee and would go on to have a 24-year career in the league. Greer was 74 years old. And more Starbucks employees voting to unionize at 3 New York locations. 6 stores now unionized, advancing efforts underway in at least 24 states. The ballot count Wednesday shows Buffalo workers voting in favor of the union. Starbucks fighting the movement, though, saying its 8,000 U.S. stores work best when the company works directly with employees. All right, as always, we like to try to leave you with a smile, especially with the state of the world right now. So today's comes courtesy of a bull. An actual animal bull. Here he is, a runaway bull out for a stroll yesterday. And of all places, guess where this is? The suburbs of Los Angeles. There's just a random bull there. Animal control officers tried to corral him at the strip mall. He had other plans, though, putting the moves on law enforcement at every turn. Eventually, though, making his way to a nearby property where someone was able to close the gate, pin him in, no word yet where he came from or where he was going. Thank you for watching Rush Hour. The Dallin Report is next.